Okay. All right. So, hi, we're working with Rachel's project here for Digital Imaging 1, and we're doing graphic user interface, and Rachel did this really cool dragon, what's it called? Moonlit?
Moonlit mixtures.
Moonlit mixtures. So I'm going to try to do a couple things. I'm going to teach you guys how to do cell rendering and then kind of bringing some things together. I think it might be the fastest way for me to just show you cell rendering on something like this crater dust. Okay, so it's just one simple object. And honestly, if you get through this project, any of you with just one simple object as a render, that's all that I want out of you guys. So a lot of you guys are going a little bit further than where I need you to go with the outcomes. So I'm super excited about where you're at. So there's this layer, Rachel, which I'm going to just grab from this and actually put it into that other thing. So I'm going to, one way to work with multiple images, guys, you can go to Window and Arrange and bring 4 up. Okay, then you can get all your stuff together. So I'm going to zoom out on this. Because really I want to get that. Does that crater dust eventually end up in one of these circles?
It does, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I want this to go to here. But is this a larger file? And this one's not big enough yet, maybe?
Yeah, that's the interface image is quite small compared to the
Is this a bigger image?
Not by much.
Okay, so what I want to do is do the crop immediately. So hit C for crop. It's going to give you this, and we're going to put it in 5464, which is double the size of the resolution of a iPad Pro. So I'm going to pull down like this. Okay, and that is going to constrain that proportion. So you have to type in, you have to change it. It might be set to ratio. You need to change it to WH resolution and 5464 and put the PX behind it. That's pixels. I'm going to hit return. Or say yes here. Okay, so that's going to be my nice big one. Okay, and I can see that. And then I just want to make sure I get this image onto here. So what I can do is I'm clicked on this image with a little lovely, is this crater dust? I love that little bag of magic there that you have. I'm going to drag this layer into this file. Okay, so now I've got that layer in that file, and I can see that it's a little bit smaller than I need, right? So I've turned off that other layer. What I'm going to do is transform this. So holding down Shift and Option, it will constrain it into that proportion set, and it's going to be probably about that size. I'm going to hit Return and check it, and move this around. If I have the V tool, gets me into the Moving tool, and I can click on Auto Select, but everything is see-through right now, so I wouldn't do that. I just want to get this into that kind of size. Do you like that size ratio, Rachel?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is make sure I don't have like a lot of complication. All I want to do for my rendering is just render out this lovely little bag. But I do want to hit lasso and grab from this, and I do have a feather on. That's why it popped. It's that little pop. A feather is a blurriness, so I'm going to change this to 0, and deselect. Command D is deselect. And just go and get this. This should be a harder selection. And I'm going to mask the rest of the stuff, because I might want to get it later, and I want to keep it all on one layer. So I'm going to go to select inverse, Command-Shift-I or Control-Shift-I is a shortcut, or you can go to select and go to inverse right here, and then mask. Oh, shoot, I didn't need to inverse. Command-Z. Command-Shift-I to select inverse and get just the bag again, and then there we go. Okay. Where do you want it? Which one do you want to replace it with? Is it this one?
Yeah,
is that the bag?
Go ahead and do that. They look similar enough, so you can
Okay. Oh, that was somebody's tears? Oh, that is so sad. So if I wanted to get back to all of those other, like that Luna grass and stuff like that, I can use my pen, my Cintiq pen, or I can control click so that the Cintiq pen, the very first button, will give you the control option. So I can disable layer mask to be able to see all that stuff back again. Control click again, enable layer mask. Okay, so here I want to lasso and get rid of what was behind there. But I'm going to keep your lovely little line work. So I'm holding down Shift to add to my selection and Option to subtract from that selection. So I'm gonna delete this because that was your sketch. But we need to make sure that we save these as different files. Remember how I cropped this? I got rid of that other thing. So I want to save this as a different file. I'm going to hit F for full screen because I'm out of that other stuff. I'm also going to show you guys that full screen can go like this. F one more time and I'm fully full screen. So this is presentation mode. Isn't that lovely? F to get out of that, but one more time. Okay. So now I'm going to, what was I going to do? Save as, right? File, save as. Now, originally, Rachel, you were saving stuff on the cloud, which works well when you're working for a company. But typically we do save things on our computer still. We're not using the cloud to communicate back and forth. We're using the drive. So I would save this as something a little bit more descriptive. Okay, so what's the title of your game?
Moonlit Mixtures.
Mm-hmm. Moonlit Mixtures. Like that. Moonlit Mixtures GUI. Rachel Leaser. See how that's a little bit more descriptive? Mm-hmm. I'm just going to drop mine on my desktop, but I want you guys to have a folder, Digital Imaging 1. You put, and inside that you might even have a folder that's Graphic User Interface GUI, and then all the other projects will be in there too. This embed color profile is important. The sRGB is what we want. I'm going to save it with that. And then this Photoshop format options comes up. Do you want to save it really big? Yes. Okay. I always click that. It's no problem. We like big files. We have big computers. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to just do the process of just doing a quick cell rendering. I have this technique called white fill that can be really helpful to find to not have to like go in and paint all of the assets exactly inside of that. So this one you would want to like do more drawing on, right? But this is a more refined drawing down here for your, it's eventually going to be lunar dust or something, right?
Crater dust. Yeah.
Crater dust, yeah. So the technique, white fill, is something that I'm going to show you guys how to use, and then I'll give you the link to it on the website. So first, in order to understand that the white is filling, I need to darken this background. So this background, I'm going to hit Command U, which is the shortcut for hue saturation. So if you go up to Image Adjustments Hue Sat, that's the long cut for it. Just want to darken this a little bit. That will help me to see when I get my white fills. So I'm going to go over to here, and I'm going to go to my actions. I want to see my actions. So Window, Actions, and this is my actions right here. I'm on this layer, and if I click white fill, bam, I just did it, right? Isn't that pretty sweet? This is a technique that Steven Henneveld gave us. He works at Nickelodeon. This is a part of the process where you just click one button and it does the work for you. Basically, it's selecting on the outside, then it's giving a little bit of a blur, and it's shifting in. There are definitely things that we'll have to fix out. This was maybe from your little sketching, but we can erase that out. That white fill, I actually didn't do this right. I would need to duplicate that layer, so I'm going to go to History. So one of the really cool things about what we do digitally is we have undo, undo, undo. And if I just did one undo, it wouldn't do it all because it's got all of this stuff. It kind of gives you a sense. Magic wand, select, inverse, fill, deselect. So I'm going to go back to here. And what I want to make sure I do is duplicate this layer. So I duplicate. This one's going to be called line, and this one's going to be called fills or flats. Okay, and even though we're making it white to begin with, we're going to get the colors later. So now that now I'm on this layer, I'm going to turn the lines off, and I'm going to go back to actions. I'm going to click white fill. Okay, bam. So I have the lines, they're up above, but I want this one, and actually if I disable my layer mask, you'll see that it did it to all of those other things, and I would have to kind of, the reason why this is not doing white fill is that there's like gaps in there that it's finding. So I can show you like how to do that on these stars. I'll grab from your color this blue and hit B for brush and get the hard round pressure and make it smaller with the brackets. Okay, so the brackets, what's next to the O and the P, gives us access to making things smaller. And so if I think somewhere right around there is probably where the loss is. You maybe want to clean this up anyways, right?
Yeah, that's definitely not my final image.
For that, right. But the bag one is. And you see that this one did well. Probably now when I click white fill again, it will do it on this layer. So I'm going to go back, go to this little arrow button and click on white fill, and it's probably going to get that. See? You can also go in and erase it. But so what I want to do now is this, I want it to be flats. I don't want it to have any line work. I just want it to be flats. So I'm going to go to HueSat, which the long cut on it is Image Adjustments HueSat. Command U is the shortcut. I just want to turn the whole thing to white. Okay? So now I've got flats in the shape that I want underneath the blacks, right? You see that? That's pretty sweet. This is disabled. I want to turn that back on. Okay, so we're just working with the crater dust. Okay, so now how do you move forward with making this like colored, right? I'm going to use this as the flats to do that, and I'm going to use my lasso, and I'm just going to like select this. What kind of color do you want this to be, Rachel?
Gray.
So do you see how I'm selecting, and I did really nice even selection here. I can shift click to get this little extra one. And then a big messy selection outside of it, because I don't need to go right around this little edge. Oops, Command Z. I moved it. So all I got to do now is Command U. I need to be on this layer. I wasn't. Command U. That's the shortcut for HueSat, and I'm just going to darken that to make it kind of the gray that you're looking for. So I'm looking for a mid-tone. Often we do colorize because often we don't just want a gray tone. So maybe like something bluish purpley. So just shifting the color. If I give it like a purple mauve-y color, then I can give more gray later, things like that. You okay with that? Okay. Especially since this color is gray.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And we can always change this color. What tone do you want on your background?
I was thinking of a deep brown.
Okay, deep brown. So Command D to deselect. I'm going to Command U on this and hit colorize and shift this to a deeper brown, saturating it up, maybe darkening it down somewhere in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go in and clean up this line work. So I'm going to go zoom in on this and grab my eraser and make it a hard-edged eraser. And just kind of clean this up. Command D to deselect. Let's see. It's actually probably on the flats. So I'm at a 33% opacity. That's why it's not giving it to me. So, but yeah, so you do some of this kind of cleanup like this, right? Even after the white fill goes around, just looking for a super nice clean edge. And I'm super zoomed in on this object, so I wouldn't necessarily need to keep looking at it at that zoom in because the object's going to be so small, right? So the next thing that I want to do is, what color is your star?
Yellow.
Yep. So Command U, colorize, darken, saturate, change the color till it feels kind of yellowish. Is that what you're thinking? Could it be warmer? Like that? Yep, desaturate it a bit. Okay. And you can do your own. This is just a sample. Okay, and then is this like cellophane? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's going to be kind of grayish, but it's also going to pick up on the ground underneath it, probably. So, but I essentially have flats already that I can paint over, right? Do you guys see how that functions? I can do W, which is the wand for these whites. Okay, so now I'm on all the whites. It selected the whites. You can change tolerances. More tolerant would be more white. Less tolerant would be less white. I like about a 3x3 average, or 12x12 is another one. So again, Command U, and I'm just going to darken this a little bit. I still am going to hit colorize, darken, maybe make it a little bit warmer. Something like that. Okay, then I'm going to paint over this. So I've got my flats. It's essentially cell rendered right now. Some of you guys can stop at this phase. Like, you might not need to go any further than that, depending on the style that you want. So, but you want to do shadows. Mm-hmm. So this is the really fast way to do shadows, which I love to work. You have to determine where's your light going to come from. Is it going to come from the top right, top left? Typically it would go from one side to the other. So this way?
Yeah.
Or this way?
Okay.
This way. Okay. So, oops, I just undid too many times. I don't think so. Command D to deselect. Okay, so this is a fast way to do this. I'm looking for where the shadows are. I hit L for lasso. I'm going to assume there's some drop shadows there. There's definitely darkness there. So if I do this with a hue set, not a hue set, but a curve above it with this adjustment layer, I can just keep all of the color, all of the value that's already there. See that? And I attach it to the previous clipping mask. So now I've got value, right? That's a hard edge. Maybe you want it to be a little bit softer. But basically I'm using the mask to allow me to get that shadow, and I still have all of the tones underneath there. So this right here is the technique that I use for everything moving forward in concept art, character design, all of that. This is the basics of that, guys. It's so fast. Did you see? Now I was talking through this, but I can do this in 3 minutes. The flats, like after I got my drawing, the flats, the tones, everything. So it's really about getting your line done. And then if you guys can be the faster person on the workforce, you're going to have more work to do, which means they're going to keep hiring you. And so speed is really important. So if I don't want, you want it to be a little smoother, or do you want it hard edged?
Like in terms of the shape.
Like airbrushed edges, or?
Yeah, like a little smooth, not like super.
Not hard edges? Right. So we go into this mask, and anything that's white in this mask is picking up the tone. So white is actually the darker, and black is actually where the lights are. So if I hit B for brush, and I go and I get the soft round, that's going to give me an airbrush edge, and I can smooth out this edge. I'm going to make this bigger, and I'm going to look for where my color is. So black, so if I'm just doing a smoothing, you can see that I'm smoothing out this edge, right? You can also make this really bigger, bring it out a little bit. So there's different ways that you can paint into this. You see that? I can also paint above it. So I have a layer that I call paint, and I pick from this color, and we can do things like and I don't want it to be in that smoothie. I would use something like this, or something like this, which is Jason's Nice Brush, which is one of my brush sets. You guys can find a brush that you like that's charcoal or something like that. But this is a nice little soft brush, and just kind of come around and give more tone and stuff like that to this stuff. More detail, more information. I can show you the demo that I use for this. So I'm going to take you to YouTube, into my channel, and don't think that this video is on our website. So let me take you to the other course where I also teach this in Concept and Production. So in Concept and Production, I'll give you guys this video on your site too. We're doing a very similar project. So you can see that these assets right here, done by one of my students, same method, using that grayscale method on the curves and then working into it, and then just more color, more detail. It just takes a little bit more time after that initial, right? So if I go to it's actually character design. So in the creature for game design and paint, this demo is used for this. So I do the same process all the way with all of this stuff. So here you can see a buffalo character, but this object you can see is using that same system. So you can see how I could probably take your little bag and push it a little bit further. It just would take me a little bit more time. These objects using that same process. So there's a 3-hour paint demo right here that runs us through the whole entire thing. And so the black drawing over the blue lines, the white fill action and how to use it, which is what I just did in class here. White fill, making selections with the lasso to change the tone of that. I'm going to go to speed so that we can just jump in. You can see after I grab those, then we make the selections and change the tone. So that's how to get really quick flats, and then cleaning, and then working with the lighting. This is the lighting technique that I just showed you guys, where using the adjust layer for the flats, and attaching it to the previous clipping mask is what it's called, but attaching it to the previous layer, and then working on new paint layer and textures, adding that texture. So textures.com for me wasn't working in Chrome earlier today, so you can go and look for things on Google image search too. Layer styles, editing, just finishing up painting. So this is a 13-minute video if you watch it at full speed, 7 if you do double time. So it's my son's drawing and me. We're combating COVID, in the beginning of COVID here with my little character. But so that technique I think is a very fast technique. It's something that we use within the rest of the program here. So any questions about that? Do you get what I'm doing? You still can do like the paint underneath with your solids, but it just does take more time, and sometimes you have to do a combination of the two. Okay? Thank you for letting me draw on that, Rachel. I would just take more time to make it look more special. But you get kind of a system? Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you guys are making one screen. I'm just going to make this a little bit lighter just right now, so that I know you want that brown, but so that we can see how awesome it is. So just one screen as a full finished image is the goal. Even if you're really feeling like you're so new to imaging, doing one image at a full like painted look for a game would be enough. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking for you guys. Okay, thank you.